Hello, my lovely friends, welcome back to another fabulous episode here on my channel where we are welcoming in the new age of the Tribbles. So, I tried doing this back in September. Those videos are officially off my channel, so if you're trying to look for them, this girl might look familiar. If you're familiar with that series, it went on for 2 parts. I wasn't going to mention it, actually. But, you know, we're here. It's fine. And I decided to go ahead and move forward with the Tribbles anyways, because it's a family that holds dear to my heart. It might not be a fan favorite family, but this is the 3rd season, so. But don't you worry about that being a hurdle for you, because I don't want it to be a hurdle for you. It's gonna be an episode, it's gonna be a family that I think anybody can just jump straight into and watch and enjoy the drama unfold. But it's also going to be a family that I have known since, well, before this little girl was even born. And, you know, adult now. And, when her dad was a child. When her dad was a child and her mother was a toddler. And her uncles were not even born. Her uncles and her aunts weren't even born yet. So, it's a very dear and whole to my heart. Her mother is one of my favorite scenes of all time. We, of course, will be going to this whole backstory in the beginning of this episode, so if you guys don't want to hear any of that, just skip forward to when gameplay starts. I guess is probably the best time. I might try to put a timestamp on the screen, or it might be linked in the description. I'm not sure. But the introduction is very important if you don't want to go back and watch 2 full series, which I'm going to very briefly describe in a roughly 5 to 10 minutes or so, with pictures popping up on the screen as we go through each and every fan favorite moment, or my moments I think are important. I will mention that we're not going to be really talking about Amy, and, oh gosh, I can't remember her dad, Alex? We might open a family tree. That might not be a bad idea, instead of staying here on Cameron. So, let's see here. Nope. There we go. Aaron, Tribble. Aaron and Amy. I might not so much focus on their core relationship as it was the core point of moving on up was their relationship. I might focus on their daughter, but I will also mention their relationship. So Amy and Aaron, I don't really have a good picture of them together, so just make an idea until they start popping up with their children. Aaron was one of those dads that they kind of just jumped straight into it. They went to college, and they kind of just jumped straight into it. Yet, as we would learn later on, that they jumped straight into it for several reasons. We'll get there when we get there. I'm not going to jump too far ahead. It's going to be an intriguing storyline. This went over 2 seasons, and so it was a building story. They met, they fell in love, and they had Lily in some shape or form. Lily was my favorite character. I literally grew her. We're going to put a picture of her and her mother, Amy, here on the screen right now. It's going to be in this, like, general area and stuff like that, and it's going to stay there until another relevant picture pops up. I'm not going to keep saying when the relevant pictures are popping up. I'm just going to tell you, it's just going to be like a slideshow, just a pretty one, where pictures are going to start moving and stuff, you know, the fun time. So yeah, she grew up from this small child. But in the process of her growing up, Amy and Aaron decided, well, they got into a fight. I don't really remember why. It's been a long time. The series is 2 years old now. And actually, on this date, it's the anniversary of the 2-year mark. So that's pretty cool. Or tomorrow is, not today, when this episode goes up. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. They got into a fight. They got drunk. They came home. They had unprotected woohoo. And unprotected woohoo, risky woohoo, I guess is probably the better way to say it, led to their son being born. Now, their son was born right before Lily turned into a child. Lily turned into a child. She was a robusculously fighting child, which was interesting. These traits stayed with her from the time she was a child to the time she was an adult. So that's a very interesting trait to realize and remember. Because it's just something that I think we would probably end up passing down into her child. We're jumping ahead, I understand. So, she, as a child, grew very close to a friend of hers from school named Luna Benreal. Benreal's family are very, very popular. They're very, very famous, and they have gone on for generations and generations. Their dad being right here, her grandfather, who None of her grandparents are alive. Her great-grandparents are not alive. We are not going to jump into the story of how they died. They do have their own individual stories, such as cancer and other sorts of dramatic things that popped up in the series, but that's something you would actually have to go invest your time into and watch the whole series. But it's a very long series, and so I'm just trying to dumb this down as short as possible. So, moving forward, and in this way, she met Luna. So, and her and Luna hit it off. They were best friends from, like, the moment they saw each other. And out of coincidence, she also met her love in life the same day she went to Luna's house. And that was her brother, Max. Now, there has been some circulation saying that Max and Luna are fraternal twins. There's also some speculation in the Sims community in general. And then also, there's also speculation that they were born at separate times. That's why they're both children when they both start in the save. But in my save. It was speculation in my save. But no, I actually aged down Luna because I like Luna so much as a character that I figured she'd work well in here because Luna is normally a teenager when you see her. I don't know if Max is a teenager. I don't ever remember, but either way. I digress. Her brother, they moved into a new apartment and because the whole point of moving on up was moving on up into the apartment. They started out in a really, really small apartment, they moved up into a big apartment, and then into eventually a penthouse. But they moved into this apartment, and in this apartment, their baby aged up into a toddler. This toddler was very peculiar. Not peculiar, that's a bad word. That's a horrible word. He was very unique. I don't really know what the best word to say this is. Either way, he was a she, and then he became a he. Over a digression of time, it wasn't just like boom, boom, boom. It was a digression of time, which was really cool. It was really fun. It was an interesting storyline. It was an aspect of the game I've yet to really get to play with, and I really liked that aspect, and I really liked having that type of character inside this world. It's a very diverse world, and it just added to the diversity that I was trying to put out on it. So, they, as he grows up, Lily grows up with them. Lily grows up faster. Lily becomes a teenager. When she becomes a teenager, she has all these friends, and she throws this wicked party, making her first kiss with Max. Then they quickly get engaged after they graduate high school. I have a very, very cute selfie that I'm going to put on the screen. That it's like one of my favorites. And then they get engaged. I have an engagement picture that's been in my background for like over 6 months now. And then, yeah, that's how much I loved her. She's my background on my computer, so there you go. Well, my lock screen, she's not my background, my cat's my background, but I digress. They get engaged, and they end up moving out into their own place. But this place doesn't actually stick around, so I won't talk much about Lily's apartment that they get her. It's a very symbolic apartment, but it just doesn't stick around. Amy and Aaron have 2 more children, a set of twins, who eventually grow up at 2, as we know. These are people we will meet, and so I might jump into their names. Hold on, we can click on Amy here. They have a set of ones: Oliver, Tristan, and Jamie. So Jamie and Tristan are the ones that are a part of the twins that are born after Lily's time. We didn't really get to play with any of them, even going forward, as we're about to move into Cats and Dogs era of this LP, because the ending of Moving On Up was her getting engaged, and then we start the whole legacy part of Cats and Dogs. Oliver is originally, his dead name is Morgan. He is the person she grew up with, the brother, and he ended up actually marrying Elsa, which is a very, very creepy story that I'm not going to get into. If you want to know it, you can watch the series. They have a daughter now. But, moving on. We digress. Again. So, they get engaged, they move out. So, starting up a new series is difficult on your channel, but I got lucky enough to get the blessing of Cats and Dogs, and I just decided to continue on the series. We did a several-year time jump into the point where they had not moved forward in their life. Lily was at a point in her life where she understood what she wanted. Her mother was sadly, what? Oh, okay. Hold on. Too far. Her mother, who was sadly dying. She was dying slowly, but dying surely. And she told her daughter, you need to marry your... We're skipping a lot here, because Cats and Dogs is a blur to me, because I only remember key points of the ending. So, yeah, definitely a series you want to know very, very strong details. Because she ends up buying like a vet clinic. That was a very big part. But we're going ahead of ourselves. So, we have the Tribble wedding. It's an episode called, you can go find it. It's a very sad episode. Actually, it ended up on New Year's, which should have been like a whole rejection for my 2018 year. It doesn't matter. And they get married, but they don't get married because Lily walks out. Because ultimately, she was doing it for her mom, and she realized it's not a reason to get married, and so she didn't want to get married. Well, a lot of bad things happened in a time span of several months. So Luna actually ended up moving in with Luna because obviously her and Max are butt heads. They still have a very, very strong and loving relationship. Max understands that she's at a point in her life where she can't get married. She accepted the ring several years ago, and maybe that was all it was ever going to be. But things happen. And moving forward, oh my god. I haven't looked over there. Sorry. Moving forward. She, however, was... Oh, okay. She, however... Sorry. Was, she moved in with Luna. Luna actually got married to a sim. I can't remember his name. Off the top of my head, it takes too much time jumping in between households. But they actually ended up having a daughter, which prevailed Lily to get a vet clinic. She got a vet clinic. Still living with Luna in the time period of getting a vet clinic. But she ended up having drinks with Max. With the drinks with Max, she finds out that she is pregnant. This is very important storyline because she keeps it from Max for some time. And then she eventually tells Max, hey, we're having a baby, who is Cameron. And maybe we should start talking about where we're going further, if we are going anywhere, or if we need to start talking about reasonable explanations of this child. I don't want this child to grow up in a broken family, basically. I'm going to love this child. I just want to make sure you're going to love this child too. And obviously, he's gung-ho about it. Well, in the same time that she gave birth to Cameron, her mom died. Yeah. Was that dramatic? Was that dramatic, you know? But in the wake of her mother's death, which I had a whole plan for a whole series going forward, but oh, you guys are getting to the kicker. In the wake of her mother's death, at her mother's funeral, a girl pops up. A girl who was mentioned very briefly throughout the series because I need to add some plot lines here to add in her sister Dawn, who is right there, who I just now remember existed. And it was actually found out to believe that Dawn was actually the person when she was 16 years old. I have no picture of this, by the way. This is just a story. 16 years old, she got pregnant with a dude from college. Pregnant with a daughter from college. Her mother, their mother, who were very, very strict, by the way. I don't get into their story for reasons. But they're very, very strict family. Told them, no, you can't have a baby. And they basically gave it to Amy. And Amy and Aaron were like, fine, we will raise them. You know, we'll raise her like our own, but you have, you know, we'll see where the connection lies. Well, she shows up at her mother's funeral, basically crushes Lily's heart because her whole life changed beneath her eyes. She ruined her whole entire relationship with Max because she believed this woman was her mother, even though technically it was still her mom because she raised her and like all this other stuff, but still it put a divide in this relationship, like a strong divide. And she ended up having a heart attack and dying, and I canceled the series? What? Yeah, okay. So our story starts. Let me make sure she's an adult. Is she an adult? She is an adult. Okay. Making sure. Our story starts 17 years after the death of her mother, Cameron. Now, technically, she is a young adult because she is on the verge of 18. So technically, she should be 18 years after. Well, no, it shouldn't. No, she's like 22, probably, around this point in her life. And Cameron didn't have a good life because of her mom dying. It was a very much big factor in me canceling the series, and so I made a big factor of being this part. Now, I was going to start the series when she died, and we were going to have this whole dramatic turn events where her dad became an alcoholic and all this other fun stuff, but I had to skip all that because I messed with the save too much, and I couldn't find a original save, and I can't, they're nowhere to be found. Lily's a character that I can never get back, and it saddens me, okay? But I will digress. So I do have a somewhat story here to talk about, and which we're going to talk about in cast, so we can get like a full up cast picture of ourselves here. Oh my god, that's her reputation. What? I was like, what? Oh, I don't know. Oh my god, that's shocking. Okay. I'm not sure where that came from, to be honest with you. Didn't do that. Oh, but wow. Okay. I have an interesting storyline for her, so just bear with me. We will be using a mod called Road to Fame, by the way, with Get Famous. They work hand in hand together, because of the mod, the thing. But that won't come up until later, and I'll do a whole review on it. So, if you guys have any questions, anything, any concerns. So this is the part where we jump into the actual story, so maybe this is where I'll put like a timestamp. This episode might be around 25 to 30 minutes long, just to give you a heads up. I just want to get to the whole story arcing point and starting her life up just a little. Plant some seeds where they need to be planted. So 17 years after the death of her mother, Cameron wakes in the streets. Now she doesn't wake in the streets because it's impossible in The Sims, but she does, however, wake up in her lot that is basically a homeless lot. Her clothes are a mess, and she has skin and bones. Now, the Cameron you met in the other series was a much more healthier figure. She is not. And we will get to the reasons why in time. Her clothing, I'm not going to go through. I went through it the last time. This is my second time recording this, by the way. The first time was so woggly. I didn't do it the right job. But, like I said, she's not in the best type, shape, or things, or anything like that. Her clothes really progress throughout the whole thing. She only has a few set clothing items and things like that. She's very, very poor. It's a very, very important part to her storyline. She is a loner, so here we go. So she's a romantic, because at heart, her whole entire reason why her life is crap is because of romantic, so I gave it her trait. She's a loner, but she's also gloomy. And then she is also a world famous, she wants to become a world famous celebrity, which we'll get to. Don't worry, we're not there yet. She's a reckless mess who herself is... Okay, so I'm going to skip this part because we're not there yet. If it is going to be a thing, we might wait until a little bit later. But living on the streets is harder. Living with a deranged father is even harder. So this is where the story, once again, jumps back into that deeper storyline. So this series is a multi-character, multi-dimensional character series, which simply means in a very much more bigger word context, is it's going to jump back and forth between two main characters. We will have a dual main character series. We are going from Cameron to Max. Max is still alive. I couldn't bring myself to kill him, okay guys? I know it's been a long time, but Max has been fighting a fight, a desperate fight, a hard fight, from the day her mother died. I'm not kidding. He's very much a big fighter in this fight. And Max's fight we'll get into next week, the next episode, which will have his own thumbnail, by the way. I'm going through a struggle right now. As you guys are going to see, this is the week of LPs. I don't like doing this to you guys very often, but I'm going through kind of a struggle, so bear with me as we upload like 6 videos. Yeah, 6 different LPs this week. This will not happen ever again, hopefully, maybe in a few months, but at this very moment, we should be good, if everything goes to plan. So we're gonna talk about her Get Famous thing, and then we're going to show off her lot. So, but yeah, and we're gonna get into it. But basically, her mother died of a natural cause, but in a very unnatural situation. And her dad thinks that he believes strongly that he can bring her back from the dead. Now, in The Sims itself, you can bring people back from the dead with Ambrosia. We'll get more into that whole entire discussion moving like into his like area. But I will mention the dad's storyline. It's very dark. It's very scary. It's very sad. But it's because it's a love that honestly I have with the character, and I think he has with the character, which we'll get into more at that point. Okay. Why does she have such a negative? Like, wow. Now, I have a mod in my game that's obviously broken. This is an obviously broken thing, so maybe this is a broken part of my mod. I don't know what's broken. I don't know which one's broken. I will have to go through and find out. There was a patch today. I didn't do a review of that. Don't judge me. I was looking for... So, this is her lot. Now, she will have a second lot, which we will not go visit today, even though it's super duper cold. Cameron has been in and out of different homes, and not foster care, because her dad was never that deranged, but she has been out of a few of her aunts and uncles' homes, and so I'm sure that if we go there, they'll let us stay the night. But she does have a tent that normally, not in the winter, she ends up staying here. It's a place that she kind of made her own, and she kind of felt home to. But there is a shelter not that far from here. It's in the same world as the world that we live in. And, but yeah, she wanted to make sure that she had some other place to go if it got too cold. Now, Cameron does have a few secrets and stuff in her sleeve, and that is the fact that she is a very, she had to figure out her own life. She had to figure out her own way of things. That was hard. That was really hard for her to discover. Why am I going Newcrest? Because I want to remember if the loft I'm thinking of is still here, but I don't know if that was in Newcrest. Where was her, is it up here? Oh, no. Her mother was buried in Windenburg. That's right, over here, at this lot. That's where her mother is. We'll get there. That's not this story. Sadly, you know, she loves her mom, but she didn't know her mom. She knew her briefly. Her mother died really soon after she was born. It's a sad, sad life, but we're going to say much because we have to go here to a karaoke bar because, you know, story purposes. But like I said, there are several things like Max. Now I'm going to change the relationship. Their relationship, it's not horrible. She understands everything that her dad went through, but the beginning years were so rough that they do have kind of like not a negative like hatred relationship, but like a 12. You know, like on a scale of like 1 to 100. It's like a 12. And so I think that will be a storyline to see if family can prevail in such a difficult and harrowing time. I don't honestly know if it can, particularly for this particular family. It's a possibility that it could, and it's a possibility that I could be really wrong. But for this particular family, and this particular situation, I don't really know anymore. The family started out really, really strong, and I really didn't have a lot of drama. We put some like cancer stuff in there in the first season, but it was really, really healthy. And then her mother died, so yeah, she is still dealing with several deaths actually at this very moment because she has lost a few people, such as a grandparent, a few people have died that has affected her like solely, you know. She has a friend that died, and she has several things that have died. Like I said, she is very, very good with the lyrics. Okay, if you guys have any idea what Rose Fame Mod is, you know exactly where the storyline's going. But if you guys don't want it to be a fun storyline, I promise you, she's a bit promiscuous, I have to say. It's a thing that she sadly has not really had much more control of. She has ruined a marriage before. Yeah, that's sad. But it's true, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that she personally doesn't really have, like, one to go back on. But either way, I think this is the perfect time to go in and watch our girl have some magic. So we're gonna do that. Really is beautiful if you guys can't hear it, but I just figured we would have that like, you know, singing skills. Oh, look at that. We can be a part of the karaoke contest. I think that's great. Don't remember what skill she's actually on, but this is a, 6. But she has many different skills. This has a lot to do. I guess we can go through her skills as she does some singing stuff. I think we would sing. Now, she is against alcohol, and other types of drugs. I'm sure they might pop up. Oh, we're gonna definitely sing in the karaoke contest. Fun tonight. Yep, there we go. Don't you dare come over here and try to steal my thunder. Yeah, look at you. You just got denied. Oh, Micah. I don't care what your name is at lunch. Alright, sorry. So, she's cooking because she had to grow herself up, and she's had to cook for herself for a while now. She's had some very on and off jobs, such as DJ mixing. She's also had to make her own food because sometimes she is like as broke as she is now. Sometimes she's even broker. So like with some fishing and stuff like that. Gambling is because sometimes you just need the extra money. She's been in and out of a few different apartments in a few different places. This was not her original home, you know. Guitar because she wants to strum along while she sings a good song, and then also violin because I thought it was a very interesting skill to pick up in her later years, and she might even grow to have a much more stronger connection with it. Personally, tonight we're just really hoping that Lily gets that idea. Not Lily, my gosh. They look a lot alike, her and her mom, which I'm very, very big fan of, by the way, but I digress. Her and Cameron are very much, we build her into a beautiful lady. Because, like I said, the later half of the series, it's just not as happy. We're going to have one half, we're going to have a growthing part, and then we're going to have, like, a degression. And, to be honest with you, I'm not really excited for degression, but you gotta do what you gotta do for the storyline purposes. And honestly, I kind of want Lily back from the dead, and my sister told me several times just to reverse it. And there is a way you can do it cheating-wise. I won't do that, though. I digress. But guys, I think this is actually more than likely her being in her natural habitat is like the perfect time to cut off here. Like I said, next time you see us, which will be later on, I think this week, or maybe at the beginning of next week, I'm not really sure. Next time you see us, we will be in a different character, and then we'll jump back to Lily. I won't lie, there might be a time jump, there might be a few days jump, there might be a week. I do not know. Do not pay attention to the seasons down below, as they will change periodically without even a mention that it's summer. You know, we'll mention we're moving into the summertime, this is where they're at in the story, or something like that. These are not weekly things for me, these are months. Like, every day is like a month, or something like that. 7 months. I know, no. Every day is like a week, or, you know what I mean? The progression here is a much, much more stronger progression in my mind than is actually in the Sims world, so keep that with a grain of salt, as the storyline is going to progress quite fast. This is a series that I want to bring into a nice opening point where we can follow it on a very much more stronger standpoint. Eventually, we are going to move this into a Cameron long series, but I think for the storyline that I really need to talk about, really need to close up, basically, is we have to have this max portion. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you all next time for a new PeopleFly video. Bye!